right, welcome to another episode of the Cherrypicker Podcast. I'm your host, CJ Tefano. We have another really exciting episode for you all today. This time we're sitting down with Gabby Tordjman, Head of People and Culture, and Caroline Kerr, Talent Acquisition Lead at Fun. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you. We're really excited to learn more about Fun. For all of you who may not know Fun at home, Fun has built a global payments infrastructure that powers some of the most popular consumer-facing fintech applications. They handle the movement between funds between fiat and crypto, so their users can interact with blockchain-based systems as seamlessly as they do with traditional finance. So really exciting stuff. Welcome, guys. We're really excited to learn more about you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, no, this is great. So, Gabby, tell me a little bit about your role, and obviously we'll get to Caroline too. We want to learn more about both of you and what Fun's all about, and I guess explain your experience on how it's been there and what you guys look for in particular candidates. So let's get started with Gabby. Tell us how long you've been with Fun and what your role is, and we'll get to Caroline after.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm the head of people and culture at the company. My role has evolved a lot. I've been at the company for 2.5 years. I joined as the first operations hire on the team. So I was working with all engineers before, and I was the basically like fourth or fifth person to join the team. And now we're a little over 35 people, which is kind of crazy 2.5 years later. So we've grown a lot. We just raised our Series A at 72
Congrats.
million. So thank you. So we are growing a lot, which is why Caroline's here, and she's going to talk a lot about our hiring process and all of those types of things. But yeah, I basically do everything from onboarding to how we think about compensation, performance culture, and the overall like employee experience at the company. We will kind of get into this, I'm sure, in the podcast, but we have like a very unique way of hiring and even like retaining talent. And so yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. I'm really excited to learn more about that. I mean, our audience really loves to hear initiatives and career development, internal mobility, and all the different issues that you guys might have. So yeah, so Caroline, tell us about your role as the lead talent acquisition associate at Fun, and to explain to us, I guess, how long you've been there, what your role has been like recently, and we'll get right into it.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm Caroline, talent acquisition lead here. I only joined about 8 months ago, so I was the first in-house talent person. Basically, I came in to kind of build the recruiting function almost from the ground up. I will credit Gabby and operations for laying a lot of the groundwork there. So crediting them heavily for that. But yeah, since I've joined, it's been kind of everything from like rebuilding interview processes, partnering with hiring managers, kind of working on headcount alongside with Gabby and also the hiring managers, sort of managing external agencies that we work with, making sure each candidate has a great experience, then obviously kind of the basics of the job, which is sourcing and moving people along through the process. So my role also has evolved a lot since day one. I think we've like over doubled in headcount since I joined, so it feels like almost a very different company. But yeah, still maintaining the same culture, and it's been really fun, for lack of better terms, to be here. So yeah,
Awesome.
excited to keep sorry, keep building the team.
No, that's great. Listen, you guys are growing like crazy, and you're based in New York City, correct?
Yeah.
So
So New
mainly,
York and Singapore. We actually just
oh,
opened a Singapore office. I just got
wow,
back from there. Yeah, last night.
awesome. I've never been to Singapore. That sounds like a fun spot.
It
So,
was really fun.
so tell us about the company culture. So now you're operating in two different cities, New York and Singapore. Are you guys mostly remote, in office, a little bit of both? Talk to us about the culture and how you guys interact. And
Yeah. We're mostly an in-person company. Of course, we have a couple of people who work remotely. They're typically like super high performing, have been at the company for a long time, had personal reasons why they needed to work remotely, but we really try to have all of our employees in person. I describe our culture as like very high performance, but very deeply human at the same time. We have really high standards. Like our bar is extremely high, and we're not shy about it. We're actually like super direct about that. Our employees know that, but also people in our recruiting process know that from the very start. I think Caroline makes that super clear, and we want to hire people that obviously like fit our culture and fit that high performance bar. But we also really care about the people that are behind all of the work that we do. There's a craftsmanship to what we build here at the company, and that comes really forward in how people like show up every day and the way that they really care about the company. I think everyone who's at the company obviously like has equity. We have an equity structure. So people have a lot of buy-in to our business. Also, it's just like in the numbers, we see how well we're performing new, clients that we're signing every single week, and it really hypes the team up. Our culture really rewards like ownership. So people like own a lot of what they do. There's a lot of autonomy. And we really, I would say, like, we really love people who have like good judgment and can really like are great judges of character, but also like good judgment in their work. Um, Especially like on the engineering side, when you're pushing PRs and doing different things that could cause bugs and cause things to like lapse, it's really important to like make good decisions and have people who are capable of making those good decisions. Our CTO can rely on them to actually like make those decisions on their own. And so during the interview process, particularly, we really pay attention to those markers of like, can we actually trust this person to go ahead and own a process on their own when they come in the seat, like in their job? And so, yeah, I just think what makes it really special here is that people actually like want to be here and they want to do what they're doing. And people show up every single day, the best version of themselves. And they really believe in what we're building. So,
Really cool. I mean, there's a really fine line between ownership and autonomy. I think that you can't let people just run amok and do whatever they want, but you also got to make them feel like they're invested in the success of the company, which I'm
yeah.
a huge believer in employee-owned companies. So that's really cool that you guys are doing that. Everybody has a piece. I think it's really important nowadays, especially with an early stage. Well, you guys are Series A, so you're still early stage to some extent. I mean, I'm much earlier stage probably than than Series A, but we're pre-Series
We're
A.
definitely early. We're definitely early still.
But still, you're in the early stages of growth, so it's really important for every employee to feel invested, and that's really really cool. So love that approach. So we talked about, I guess, the culture. What about some key qualities that you look for in potential candidates? I guess I'll shoot this over to Caroline. Um, is it technical, non-technical? What would be the split? Would you say the types of candidates and qualities you're looking for?
Yeah, so I mean, Gabby kind of covered a lot of it with our values, which I would say, besides the hard requirements for the job, are like we're really looking for people who have that kind of baked into their aura and who they are. So kind of just to reiterate, like with craftsmanship, we really sweat the details. We need people who genuinely care about the quality of their work, not just getting it done. So I basically try and start assessing this from the very first recruiter screen, like as basic as have they done their research on the company? Do they come prepared with thoughtful questions? Usually you can weed people out pretty quickly by that. We don't have a ton of information on us out there, but we do have enough for people to their curiosity to be piqued. We also have an active product people can use. So yeah, I kind of come expecting people to have some kind of idea or at least like a good set of questions. And that just shows me that they care about the quality of their work and what they're going to be doing. I guess the second is sort of the whatever it takes mentality. Like there aren't passengers here. Everyone owns their part, whether it's like a big strategic decision or even some of the more like unglamorous work. So I sort of like suss out that in people when I'm talking to them on my first screen, like maybe tell me about a piece of work you're genuinely proud of, like what made it good. Tell me about a time you went back and improved something after it was already done, like what made it better. Just little things like that that I can kind of weed out in my initial screen just to see if they'd be a good fit here. I guess the third also is another value, which is relationships. We really feel exceptional work starts with exceptional people. So, like how someone shows up for their team really matters just as much as what they can do individually. So if that resonates with someone, I think they'd be a great fit here. And it's usually kind of, I guess, somewhat easy to tell on the first screen. And then the technicals come after. I mean, I'm not really qualified to vouch for those, but for the first pass, that's what we look for.
Awesome. So obviously, candidate experience is really important in an interview process. I preach it all the time on LinkedIn ad nauseum. I think a lot of people think that it's all about just identifying talent and then getting them through the process and just making the hire quickly. I know we all want the hire to go fast, at least on the recruiting side. If you're working with an agency, forget that. They're rushing you to get the job done. They don't care who gets the
Yeah.
job. They just want to fill the job. But I guess on our side, we're more in
We get it.
we're more in tune to the candidate experience and improving that. So how do you ensure a positive candidate experience, during your whole interviewing and hiring process?
Yeah, honestly, we treat every candidate like they're already a part of the team, and I can say that with like absolute certainty because this is definitely a very unique situation that I've been in as a talent partner. Basically, it starts with keeping our process consistent. Every candidate goes through the same structured experience for each individual role, so nothing is like ad hoc or disorganized. I will say it's been a work in progress, and we're always open to improving, but we've really worked to streamline that process across all fronts. So I stay close to the candidates throughout and make sure they always know where they are in process, what's coming next. They're never left waiting in silence. I keep response times really fast. And then when it comes to closing, I'd say that's a super full team effort.
For sure.
And that's definitely what I think makes fun very unique, especially compared to places I've worked for, or just other experiences I've heard from other people. Like we literally will do whatever it takes to make sure someone feels as welcome as possible, but also has the most informed or is able to make the most informed decision possible. So whether that's like grabbing a coffee, taking someone to dinner, or just making sure they have like every piece of information, be it like our equity plan to even what day to day looks like and everything like that, and like what the office culture is like. We want to make sure they're equipped to make the right decision. Also, even if it isn't a yes on the candidate side, I make sure I always deliver them some kind of feedback, just so that it's helpful for them down the road. But everyone should have real access to the team and a very genuine sense of what it's like to work here before they even sign anything. And it truly is like a full hands on deck. Like we have the whole interview panel send people welcome messages or congrats emails or like take them out for a coffee, as I mentioned. So, yeah, I'd say it's a very all encompassing candidate experience process. But yeah, as we grow, it's probably subject to change a little bit, and we're always looking to improve. But I'd say, at least since I joined, from my experience, I think and even my experience as someone who was hired here, it's been really great the whole time. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, listen, like feedback and communication are the two big pillars of candidate experience. I think that you guys are doing that really well, and you're making them feel welcome before and giving us like a taste of your culture before they even arrive. And I think that sets the tone to their employment. If they can don't get the warm and fuzzies early on, and like if you don't increase that experience as best as possible in the beginning, I think a lot of people get turned off, and especially if you ghost them without telling them why you decline them. Something as simple as just some people just do an automated email, but have a little bit of personalization in it. It goes really a long way. So that's really cool that you guys go the extra mile and take people out, or get to meet up, or have the whole team and congratulate them or welcome them on the panel, which is awesome. So, what about in terms of retaining talent? You mentioned everybody has stock ownership in the company itself. What are some other strategies that you might use to retain top talent within the company? And I guess that's for Gabby.
Yeah, a few things come to mind. First, we have compensation transparency at the company. So we benchmark pretty rigorously, and we're really intentional about where we position ourselves in the market. So, we are a fintech crypto company. And so a lot of our compensation reflects that of a crypto company, especially for hiring crypto native people. Typically, it's like a really, really niche market. And so we want to make sure that we are benchmarking ourselves where we should be to honestly keep our talent, but also to bring in new talent. People should never have to wonder if they're being paid fairly. That's just like not one of our values. We don't want people to go home and worry about where they stand monetarily or financially. And
Yep.
so we really want people at work to think about, you know, the work that they're doing and not be insecure financially.
I
Um,
love that. That's so
yeah,
that's really, really like honestly, you'd be surprised how often you don't hear that. And that's super cool and important that you're so aware of where people stand. And listen, they're getting thrown opportunities every day. That from either a recruiter, somebody in their network, or if they're having a bad day, they can have one bad day in the office and then they start searching. But if you're on top of it and updating them and setting expectation on compensation, I think that's one of the biggest retention tools that any company could have is
yeah,
having a very open dialogue of that conversation. If somebody feels undervalued and they have an open door policy to discuss that with you, they don't have to feel scared to have that conversation. I think that's empowering for a lot of people probably watching this.
yeah. I think it's really hard because I think at a lot of companies there isn't this like pay transparency. And we've done a really good job at not only pay transparency, but also like leveling transparency where people sit and see it. So like where you are, how you can grow, how you can get promoted to the next level. And we don't obviously we have like we're a startup, we're a pretty like flat structure. So we don't really like have like, a ton of different levels, but it is really important to know your level so that you know what's expected of you. And then you also know what's expected in the next role that you might get. So Yeah, along with that, I also think that like something that's super underrated is actually giving people like meaningful work. And so something that we do here, and especially in Web3, like the best people sort of have options, like you just said. Like recruiters are reaching out to them, they're in our inboxes, they're in our engineers' inboxes. We know that they're reaching out on LinkedIn, they're doing all of the things to try to recruit our people. But we give people meaningful work, and we also really tried, like in like our day to day process, to make people feel really empowered to like show up every single day. And they really think that their work matters, and that has a
It
really big
does. Yeah, having the buy-in of everybody chugging in the same direction. I mean, you want to get to that goal quicker and get to Series B, Series C, and eventually maybe an exit. I don't know if that's on the horizon, but I'm sure that's what everybody's playing for, right? So finally, I guess this is a question for both of you. What's like one thing that you wish more candidates knew about fun or the hiring process that you guys run in general? So I guess we'll start with Gabby, and then I'd love to hear your opinion, Caroline, too.
Sure. I wish that more candidates knew about culture fit and competency, and that they're honestly like equally weighted for us. So if somebody is like crushing all of their engineering interviews, let's say, or even if they're not an engineer, we still have technical interviews for all of our roles. If they're crushing it and then they get to their culture interview and they don't crush it in their culture interview, we will not make that hire. And the reason that we don't is because those people don't really end up thriving here. Like, if you're not going to fit in with the culture, like, there's no real purpose of you showing up and us giving you an offer every single day. You showing up every day and us giving you an offer, excuse me. And so it really comes down to like those things weighing equally for us. And I think a lot of companies sort of like make this mistake, especially in our space, where they'll see somebody really technically strong, and they'll make an offer to them and they don't fit the company culture at all, and they'll churn out within 3 months, and that is extremely expensive for the
Hmm.
company. It's also like really unfortunate for the person, obviously the employee joining, because not only are they out of a job now, but they just left a job to come join your company. So
Yeah.
I think that that's a super unique thing about us, but I also think it's something that people don't really focus on, and they don't realize coming into the process. A lot of the people that we interview, they're going to be strong, but doesn't at the end of the day necessarily mean that you're going to be the best fit. So
Cool. Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, there's a lot of hidden costs in replacing somebody that's not a good hire, and I've spoken a lot about that on a lot of different podcasts, and it's especially if you're paying a placement fee on top of that. It'd be you make it to 91 days, and like usually it's 91 days, and you have to pay that placement fee on top of that. It's not fun.
it's
So
happened to us.
it's happened to all of us, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah.
Caroline, what about you in terms of what do you think? One thing that you wish candidates knew more about fun from your
Yeah, I
perspective.
think oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying from your perspective, like from the talent acquisition side.
Yeah, I think one thing I wish more candidates knew is that we're a lot more than what you can find online. I know I kind of tapped on this earlier, but when I joined, there was almost nothing about us. Like I remember in my interview process, I was like, "What does this company actually do?" And like,
She was like, "Is this real? Does
yeah,
it exist?"
yeah. And I think other candidates experience the same thing. I'd say probably like 90% of my calls, they're like, "Can you just tell me a little bit more about what fun does?" Now we do have much more of a fleshed out website. Like that's been a huge push in the past couple of months. So that's been helpful. But I do wish people kind of had a better sense coming in, about what we actually do and who we are, just so they could get a little more excited, which we are again working on. We're still working on building our talent brand, and it would be great for people to see like a little bit of a glimpse into like what it actually is like to work here before they even do or start the interview process. But that's TBD. I guess my advice would be just, don't let that stop you from digging deep or, learning more about the company. Like we're all on LinkedIn. We do have a new shiny website. That's great. Our careers page is developed and stuff. So would encourage people definitely to dig a little deeper, especially before like the first screen. But yeah, something I want to work on and we're working on as a team is just a little bit more like talent brand marketing.
Yeah, no, talent branding, employer branding is really important. I mean, employee
Yeah.
referrals. I mean, you got to hit them from all angles, outbound, inbound, anywhere. So
Caroline
hopefully this,
is always pushing employee referrals because they honestly end up being the best people, but our
yeah,
employees just we gotta push them to do it a little bit more.
Or
mhm.
there have been so many missed opportunities for an employee because it's incentivized, and then someone will apply directly, and I'm like, "Don't you know this
Or we
person?"
have to pay a placement fee
Yeah.
instead of just giving our employee the referral
Right.
bonus.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this gave a lot of our audience insight on what it's like to work at Fun and your hiring process and your culture. Because it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of really great things and you're growing on top of that. So thank you guys for joining us today. If you really enjoyed this video, like and subscribe on YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all social platforms. And we're really excited. Thank you for joining us today, guys. I hope we could do it again in the future.
Thanks for having
CJ.
us.
This was fun. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.